Confused where to start? UPSC. One decision can change everything.
Like to thank Wajiram and Ravi.
The Wajiram current affairs test series.
Wajiram का भी काफी help.
Wajiram is the best.
But Wajiram, it is something holistic.
It helped me in boosting my confidence.
Structured learning expert. Mentorship in latest results, top 10 out of 10 from Wajiram. Legacy of AIR 1. Trust. One name. Wajiram and Ravi.
Hello everyone, I am Mohammad Abuzar Ansari and I have secured All India rank 671 in UPSC CSE 2025. This was my 6th attempt, 5th mains and 2nd interview. My optional is public administration and I have secured 289 marks in this year public administration. So I would like to talk something about the queries that comes up with students of public administration. First is that why did I choose public administration? So the reason behind me choosing this optional was very objective. I had taken syllabus of a lot of optional, at least 10 optional, including history, anthropology, sociology, psychology, philosophy, and then I read all the syllabus of all these optional subjects. Therein I realized I had more inclination towards public administration, the syllabus content that public administration offered, and that had a very specific reason. I would like to share that also. For instance, the paper 2, the Indian administration part, it talks about the executive part of the government, the legislature, the judiciary, law and order, the disaster management. I had studied these things in school days in the civic subject. I had also a very keen interest in knowing about the functioning of the Indian administration. So I thought when I'll study this subject, even if I don't clear this exam, I'll have a very in-depth knowledge of this Indian administration and the whole setup wherein citizen interacts on day-to-day basis with the administration. So I would better understand, I would be a better citizen as well. So this was one of the reasons for going through this optional, and also the paper 1 also, wherein thinkers like Taylor, Mayo, these I had studied in some portions in my engineering days as well. So I had studied those things, I had interest in the rest of the things. Lastly, there was also very much overlapping with the syllabus of GS also. When I saw the syllabus of GS, when I was coming into the preparation, I saw that content like the polity, the governance part, even the history part of the Mauryan administration or the British administration, the medieval part of the Akbar administration, these had very much overlap, including the disaster management part, the security part, the Naxalism, law and order. These all had interlinkages and relationship with the GS overlapping. So I thought my interest is also in lying there. I had already studied few parts of the syllabus, and also there would be overlap with the GS. So it would be very easy for me to study the subject, as well as I thought I would eventually score good. We did not fructify in the initial attempts, but eventually everything turned good and I scored a good mark. So advantages regarding public administration was that, which I mentioned for me, I think that is the general advantage. There is a lot of overlapping of the GS syllabus. It is short syllabus, one can complete it very easily, and it also helps in securing good marks in GS as well. In terms of some questions, there are questions like are there any regrets choosing public administration? I would say there are none. In the initial 4 attempts, I scored a score around 240. Like consistently I was scoring 230s, 235, 240. But that I eventually realized that because I was writing poorly and the students who are not getting good marks are not writing up to the mark. That is why UPSC had not been rewarding good marks in public administration optional. I always believed and said to my public administration aspirants as well, that when we write good, we will be eventually rewarded, and this year it happened. Not just me, a lot of fellow aspirants got good marks in public administration. Next, this is also regarding securing is public administration a high scoring optional. This year if we see, we have secured a lot of students, a lot of rankers who have secured, 2 have secured more than 290, I have secured 289, and others have also secured very good marks in public administration. So it is not just about public administration as an optional, the marks, but also the aid that it gives in GS, in understanding the syllabus of GS2, GS3 as well as GS4, the ethics and public administration part. It helps in developing good understanding and good content as well. So in that terms, public administration is very helpful, I would say. For those having about to start, I would say what I did when I was about to start public administration optional, I went to the Wajiram and Ravi. Therein I took foundation course from them as the optional courses. I did all the syllabus from there, made notes out of it, made short notes and revised them thoroughly. So what I did right. What I did wrong was that I did not write many questions and I did not write many answers to those questions. I did not solve PYQs. I just straight away went to the mains examination. I scored terribly low, around again 230s, and next year again I did the same thing. I wrote just with revising. I went down to write the mains examination, scored badly, again repeated. So what worked for me this year was that I took a conscious basically I took a conscious decision to solve all the PYQs of public administration. I took the booklet of SS Mohanty sir. There is all the PYQs are solved. You could take any of the booklets, whichever you find. I don't think so there are much content available in terms of public administration as of now. So I took the help of that book. I just took out the structure, how the question is being structured and what all needs to be answered in the PYQs. So in that matter and some matter of content also, I took help of the content from that book and I made notes out of the PYQs, each and every PYQ of around 25 years or 20 odd years. Every PYQ was written in my notes. I used to revise those again and again and go and write test again. So when I wrote test, I took my copy, I gave it for evaluation. Last year I gave to Wajiram, this year I gave to Forum IAS. I would say you could take up any test series whichever suits you. All the test series I would say are equivalent in terms of optional marking, but what matters is that you write the tests. When you are writing the test, you will understand what problems you are facing and where you need to improve. So while after writing the test, I used to send it for the evaluation, and I also used to take the copy and the soft copy. Two of my seniors, and they used to sit with me regularly for 2 to 3 hours. They used to pinpoint each and every mistake that I did and also appreciate where I was doing right. So their pointing out my mistakes helped me to improve, and their appreciating my efforts and the improvement in answers gave me that confidence that I can score better in public administration if I keep on improving, and if I write like those who get a rank in this examination, if I write like that, I will eventually. So that gave me confidence. So what I would suggest is you go write and get it evaluated, not just by a coaching institute, but sit with your fellow aspirant, a friend, a senior, someone who could look up to each of your answer and tell you where to improve and what to do. Now coming to the strategies of both of the papers of public administration. For paper 1, like I said, I did my foundation from Wajiram and Ravi. I had my notes all prepared, all the thinkers were all ready, concise. I made short notes out of it, around 50 to 60 pages. I had concisely written it, but again it was not leading to good marks. So what I did was what I said earlier, PYQs. For paper 1, I solved each and every PYQ and I wrote thinkers consciously. I used to write in points first of all. In introduction, I used to write some thinker. When I am writing an answer, I would try to give context of the answer. It is very important to understand the context of the thinker wherein the question or the statement is being asked. Then argue like someone is arguing your case in a court. Like what I suggest, people ask to me that how many thinkers we should write in an answer, or what should we write. What my understanding of this paper was that if there is a statement based question, or there is a question basically, and you have to argue your case. So when you are arguing in the favor of that statement, argue like you are arguing in a court wherein the judge is sitting, judge is the evaluator, and you give 5 arguments or 4 arguments which are substantiated with some examples, or it is better to quote somebody's thinkers. Like when you argue in a court, if you say what you believe, it would not stand a chance to win that argument. But if you give a previous year's judgment or what the court itself has said, the court would give weightage to your argument. Similarly, the evaluator would give weightage to the argument or give more marks when you put in the arguments which you are saying, but with reference to some thinker or some committee or some judgment or something like that. In paper 1 we don't have the judgments, but we have thinkers, we have sufficient amount of thinkers, whatever we study, the basic thinkers like Taylor, Mayo, Bernard, Agres, McGregor, all these thinkers, use them liberally and wherever necessary, but don't overdo them also. Sometimes it is, the question is such that you have to argue, but you also have to give your own points. So give, if you are arguing 5 points in favor of a statement, give 3 arguments in with reference to some thinker, and 2 you can argue with your own self. That also you don't argue with your own self, but use the keywords of some thinker, but without mentioning those thinkers. So it becomes very eloquent, very good looking and impressive as well. So you get good marks. Similarly, when you argue against, you try to argue with 5 pointers, and this I am talking about a 10 marker question. If you have sufficient arguments, 5 for the favor, 5 for the against. If you don't have sufficient argument, you could go for 3 statements as well. I do not prefer paragraph writing, because I thought when I write in paragraph, my arguments become more elaborate, but lesser of arguments I could present in that limited space and limited time period. The space is also limited, the words are also limited. So what my style of writing was, I'll mention a thinker, I'll give a context in the introduction why this question is being asked, and then I'll argue my cases through different thinkers, 3 to 4 or 5 points. Sometimes you only write 5 points in a whole 10 marker question, sometimes you have 7 to 8 points. So depending on what the question is and what you have the content, go ahead this way. And when you are writing the conclusion part also, try to connect with the forward theories. For instance, when you are writing about NPA, don't just finish on NPA, try to connect it with NPM, try to connect it with NPS. And when you are writing a question on Minobrook 1 or Minobrook 2, connect it with Minobrook 3, or if you are writing a question on Minobrook 3, tell the evaluator that Minobrook 4 is to be organized in 2028 or something like that, that there are current happenings that are happening. You have to mention those things also. When your question and your answers are well connected to different thinkers and theories like this, what I am trying to tell you, it becomes a very forward looking, a solution oriented and also a connected answer. So it gives a good impression to the evaluator, and that eventually leads to better marks, I would say. In the same part, try to also add some diagrams. If you could make a flow chart, if you are trying to explain 3 points of a thinker, make a triangle, write 3 points in a triangular format. If you have more points, make a hub and spoke model of type of diagram. Whatever you do for GS, for better presentation, you could also do in public administration also. So this is how you make your answers enriched. One thing also, when I evaluated a lot of copies of people writing mains this year, I feel the presentation is not up to mark, but that is very important. Make good headings, try to categorize them into subheadings and then points in that, and also underline. These are very basic things, but a lot of students are missing, so I thought of mentioning that as well. Coming to paper 2, paper 2 requires very contextual understanding as well. You need to know what is happening and why the question is being asked. The paper itself is of Indian administration. It talks about, the questions are framed whatever is happening around in the administration. For instance, last year a question was asked on CAG. So if you give an introduction, or if you introduce the answer with a judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, wherein something important was decided on the office, on the role or the power of the office of the CAG, it would give the evaluator an understanding that you just don't understand the question what is being asked, you understand why the question is being asked and what is the importance of the question. You also understand the judgments of the Supreme Court, you also understand the current affairs, you also understand the static part of the syllabus as well. So it gives multi-layered introduction, and it basically brings a completeness in your answer. If you just write an article of the CAG and with an introduction, it becomes very static and is not very much connected to why the question is being asked. So I would say try this thing, bring in more contextual understanding in the answers. Similarly, when you go to the body part, try to mention contemporary thinkers. By that I mean, when it is not very necessary to write thinkers from paper 1, but what the latest thinkers are in the current society. For instance, if you are writing something on, I would say Kautilya, what I used to write, I used to write the example or the statement of the Honorable Minister of External Affairs as Dr. S. Jayashankar. He has mentioned a lot about Kautilyan administration, so I would mention his name. Or Dr. Pranab Mukherjee, our former president, has also written in his book The Presidential Years. He has mentioned about how he was inspired and how he took guidance from the Kautilyan administration and the setup of modern times. So when you write the body part of the answer, therein also try to bring more weightage into your arguments. And in paper 2, you go with thinkers, as I mention thinkers like C. Raja Mohan that you read in newspapers, and other relevant thinkers which write about the Indian administration or things which are relevant. There's bring in those things. Again, Supreme Court judgments quote those things. Like there was a question on the office of governor, the powers of the office of governor. Recently there was a Supreme Court judgment. So mention those things when you are arguing your case. Also, very important role is of committees in public administration. How you mention the relevant committees when you write about Niti Aayog, when you write about Naxalism, when you write about any of the topics, things related to urbanization or the PRIs, ULBs, mention the relevant committees. Again, mention different reports. There would be a TIS report, there would be a Niti Aayog report. Mention those little things. That adds up spice to your arguments and separates it from what other people have written. The generic part it separates and it brings very specificity to your arguments. So that helps you get good marks. And herein also argue a lot of in a lot of points. Like what I used to do, again for a 10 marker I used to try to write 10 points, 5 in favor, 5 in against, and then a concluding remark. For a 15 marker I would try to compartmentalize answer into 3 parts, 3 headings, 5 points for each of the heading. And for a 20 marker I would try to write 4 headings, if not then 3 headings, and therein you get good content, at least more content, and the spaced 4 pages are also very efficiently filled up, and you write relevant content as well. A lot of students also talk about how to integrate current affairs with public administration. Therein I would suggest that what I did was the Vision 365, the Mains 365 magazine of Vision IAS. I did those very meticulously. I made notes out of those things, especially polity and governance part, because that is very much relevant in paper 2. So the content that I had read came naturally onto my paper 2 as well. So I used those part. Just do the current affairs magazine and whatever you are doing for the GS part current affairs, and that would be integrated in the subject. Students also ask me about how to prepare examples, judgments. I think the multiple coaching institutes near to the examination release content or these value addition materials. Shunya IAS gives very good data facts material. Atish Mathur sir releases a material for judgments. Different coaching institute and different rankers also put up their notes. I did not had my own notes, so I could not, but different rankers have put up their notes about different committees or different data sets. Just take up those notes, make your own, or just revise those and try to add on those notes into your answers. One thing is that. Secondly, initially I did not talk about my resources, but I had very concise resources. As I said, my optional classes, then my PYQs, and then my test papers. This adding to that, Lukman IAS model answer I would also suggest is very crucial in terms of getting good content. Sometimes the connection, how to make good connections in paper, both the papers, by adding thinkers, that also you get a good hint and good understanding from Lukman IAS's model answers. You could refer those things. Lastly, I would say the only reason for me securing good marks in public administration is the role of PYQs and writing of tests and getting it evaluated, improving upon those, and again revising those PYQs, writing those tests, and subsequently writing the mains examination. So I used to write for the whole day, in the morning till night. I used to just write. And so if you are writing mains this year, or whenever for the next year also, if you write mains, just focus more on writing part. Do not miss out on that thing. Do not think that just revising or just reading the subject will help you get good marks by just going into the examination hall and writing there. practice a lot of questions so that whenever a question comes, you do not feel alienated out of the question. You will always have question if you have practiced a lot in your practice or in your preparation time. Whenever a question comes, you will be familiar with that question. You will have some content even in 20 marker questions, so you will write better. Last thing I would like to address is a lot of students have asked me that what to do, how to choose what questions to answer. Like can we there are optional questions like question number 2, 3, 4 and then question number 6, 7, 8. So what I did was, when I got the paper, I basically took the paper and saw and read basically the questions, the question number 2, 3 and 4, all the questions, and wherein I had good content, those questions I chose to write. And similarly with 6, 7, 8, if I had good question in all the 3 questions of the question 6, 7 or question 8, whichever questions I had good content, I would just take it and I would attempt it. I would not give a second thought to that. So my point here is that a lot of students say that I'll answer only a specific part of the syllabus in the examination. I will not prepare the other parts. I would suggest don't do that. Prepare everything so that you don't restrict your own choices. Go there with a free mind that you have prepared everything. Choose the questions wisely there wherein you have good content, and you will realize that when you do that, you will write better answers and you will have more freedom to choose. So this is how I did my preparation and how I attempted my questions. Wishing all the best to all the students. If you have any queries, drop a text on my Telegram channel. I'll try to address and I'll try to help each one of you whatever the academic help that you need. I would also like to thank DKT for providing me this platform to reach out to maximum students and help particularly the public administration students who feel who feel that it has not been a rewarding subject. But my only advice is that if we do the right efforts and if we write like people who have got good marks, we will also get good marks. So all the best and keep preparing. Thank you.